The touch of your hand makes me tremble within. Love the smell of your hair.
Man, feeling well, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17, Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh, yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out. We fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food. Huh?
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
That's right.
We got more than we can use.
Already was high within San Antonio, Winchester community, but the age group is getting younger. Children under the age of 18 being murdered in San Antonio has a high peak right now. So our goal is to catch the children.
You going hard, man. You going hard on that man today. So what do you think, Mr. Mayor? You got manufacturing right here, helping our young people despite all of the challenges in the city of Baltimore, right here on North Avenue.
No, it's really about the growth. Just knowing where, being there when they were down in Fort Covington and seeing how far it's grown. Like you said earlier, like getting the Soul Bay, you know, where we got the Soul Bay at the beginning, but now being able to, when I'm at Canada Yards, get it, or anytime I'm down at Harbor Place to get it, and folks to not even know, but they're gonna know now that like this is coming from young people in West Baltimore, right there in West Baltimore on North Avenue, where they think nothing great comes from, but they can see it in what the young people do.
Here on the bank of Mississippi, our very dear friend Florence Athens. A beautiful town, just leaving Algiers, which is an update 10 years since Katrina. All right, y'all, this is what I came to New York for. Besides the Black Wall Street Awards, we're going in here and get some of this real good jerk chicken. Donnie Glover, out.
I feel the warmth of your skin. Just the touch of your hand makes me tremble within.
But we need to feed our loved ones. DOTS needs to rescind this package policy program so that our loved ones are able to eat every day in that filthy facility that
we have some stars in the building.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover, entered the winning for the long haul, baby. Listen, I've been in business for myself for about 23 years. And along the way, you meet some people who are really about their work. Craft, studious, global traveler. And that's Mr. Ken Rochon. He's no stranger to this show, nor to the DMV. Top of the morning to you, Ken. How are you? Are you sporting a mustache these days? Huh?
Well, I got to copy you, Donnie. I mean, you have the influence.
Is that what you're doing?
I figured if I do that, people won't know who's talking, which one is which. How you doing, buddy?
Tell me, how did you come to adopt Dr. Smiley?
Well, I guess it came down to smiling a lot and people calling me Mr. Smiley because I handed out Keep Smiling cards. And you know, you're in this book right here.
Get out.
Oh, yeah. You're in several books, actually. But let me pull you up out of here. There we go.
I remember that photo.
Yeah, and that's June
27th.
June 27th.
That's my birthday.
Yes, it's celebrating you on your birthday.
Wow.
So, yeah, when I see you next time, we'll have to get you a copy. And
yeah, I'm sorry.
So
I was trying to describe you, and I was almost like, you don't know Ken? Everybody knows Ken.
Well, I'm lucky to know you. And back to your question, when you hand out enough of these cards, people start calling you Mr. Smiley, because if they forget your name, they can say the Smile Guy, Mr. Smiley. But I had this card handed to me by a gentleman named Barry Shore. And it just goes to show you, someone like yourself can make a difference in one person's life just by saying hello, smiling, just saying I believe in you. So this man gave me this card, and I said I want to make a movement out of it. So I've handed this out to hundreds of thousands of people, and we've downloaded over 6 million of these cards, over 6 million. But when the pandemic happened, that was a blessing for me, and I got to spend time with my son. He became an author, and he did 14 books since the pandemic. And I did my doctorate, and I did it on entrepreneurism and the power of a smile in business. And it's funny, but a business that focuses on smiles and not profit will always go the distance. It'll always be carried by the community. So when I got that, I said, you know what? I don't need to be called Mr. Smiley anymore.
Dr. Smiley.
Dr. Smiley. So I hope I'm the Dr. Smiles. You know, some people think I'm happy all the time, and I'm a regular human. I just know how to shift it back to gratitude real quick.
Gratitude is a very important concept. My mother said to me, and March 16th will be 40 years.
March 16th, are you serious? That's my mom.
Since I last saw her. Yeah, 40 years.
That's my mom's birthday, Donnie.
Pisces. She said, you don't appreciate sugar honey iced tea.
That's beautiful.
And I've learned to be very grateful since then for any and everything that someone does for me. Yep. She said, you don't appreciate shh. And I've learned to be very grateful. If you let me over on the highway, I'm going to roll my window down and put the peace sign out and make sure you see it without, of course, crashing or anything, but to show gratitude. Where'd you do the PhD?
That was the International University of Entrepreneurology. It's out of Hawaii. So that was an interesting conversation, because I knew Dr. James Omps, who has a school with Dr. Patricia Omps. And so they gave me an opportunity to do that during the pandemic. So it took me a year. I got up at 4 o'clock every morning, worked for about 3 or 4 hours on my dissertation. And less than a year later, I did a book called Epiphanies, Through Wisdom Comes Success. So that was a book that came out of that work.
I have respect for that. But you know, there are a lot of people can run around calling themselves doctor.
Yeah.
And they got it from questionable institutions. And just last night, I said to myself, the next time I meet a doctor, I'm going to ask him, what was your dissertation on?
That's a good idea. And by the way, ask them to send it to you. And beyond that, ask them, did they do a book on it? Those are great questions, because that's a person that put a lot of time, or didn't, into their depth of study. And it's funny, there's 21 attributes that come out of actually focusing on smiles in business. It is insane how high it is. You're more attractive, you have better job security, you're a more popular person, you're more creative, you're more well, you don't miss days at work. The job security is through the roof. You're top of mind, because everyone says, well, we can't get rid of that person. Everyone likes him and everyone likes her. So there's a lot of cool things that come out of focusing on smiles.
Now, is this some type of Indian Hindu philosophy?
I would say it is, but it's a lot of other philosophies too. I think there's a Buddhist application, a karma application, that the more smiles you give, the more smiles you'll get. I do think that's a fact. I don't think you need to make them transactional either. I think it's funny. You can give a smile to somebody, and you don't know how it impacts their day, and it ripples around the world somehow. So I think there's some magic that happens with it beyond your scope.
Does it work with animals?
I think it does. That's a great question. I think it does, because when you smile and you speak to the animal, the tonality of love, the frequency of love comes through your voice.
Sometimes I watch a lot of animal clips, reels. And last night I saw this woman who had a lamb. And if you didn't know any better, you the lamb was acting like a dog.
Really?
The lamb was up on this lady, like licking on the face, like, ah.
That's pretty cool. There's plenty of animals that, like tigers, lions, cows, that respond to that type of, I guess, trust.
Energy.
That energy, that trust. Yeah. I don't think there's as many. I think they're more foreign relationships. I don't think there's as many in the U.S. I haven't seen too many in Baltimore of people having lions around that hug them out. But I have seen so many beautiful videos of just a person taking care of a wild animal that would otherwise be known as a wild animal and just being completely trusted with it, reversed.
Where were you born, Ken?
Rhode Island for a very short stint. Rhode Island is not just a small state, but it's the only state that has the word hope in the flag. And I say that from a standpoint that hope is like a really big deal to me. I think smiles bring hope to the world. I think when you smile, you are in a frame of mind where you're inspired and you can pass inspiration to others. So hope I have a book called Dose of Hope. And I'll tell you, Donnie, when you and I meet next time, I would like to give you a copy of Dose of Hope, but I want you in that book, because DOSE stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins that go off in your head when you have hope in your heart. So, and hope, I came up with an acronym. I shouldn't say I came up with it. I stole it from somebody, but hold on, pain ends.
One more time.
Hold on, pain ends.
Yeah.
And smiles, by the way, seen miracles in life every second. My good mentor, Barry Shore, he came up with acronyms for the last 20 years. I made a book of acronyms for him. He just sent me a database and I put it together for him. But, I think that anytime you are wanting to lead in life, you need to share your inspiring story. And I think a book is a great way to do it. I think since you know so many great people, Donnie, I just want to say my studio in Baltimore, for any author, speaker, leader, friend of Donnie that's doing good things in Baltimore and or the DMV, I extend an invitation to come out and get a smile shot. But more importantly, I'll take a picture of you to get you on your LinkedIn or your Facebook, get a nice new headshot for you. And by the way, Donnie, thank you so much, not only for being on the show, let me be on your show, but you've been such a great host and just so courteous as a friend to invite me to some beautiful events. You do have beautiful access to people. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Did you know Dr. Renee Starlin Allen by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been mourning her for a couple of days because I went to the funeral. There were 500 people there. And just thinking of her name, I was going through and getting my books, and I came across her book that she did, the Smile book. And it just knocks me out how much she gave. Every person that spoke there got 2 minutes. And then what they all said that it was in common, they said, I was her best friend. Because everyone felt that way with her. And it moved me to say that who am I being to everybody? Am I just being someone that's positive? Am I being someone that's impactful? Am I being someone that actually believes in them? Am I being someone that when it's my time, that so many people would say, yeah, he made the difference?
So you were born in Rhode Island. And as you mentioned that, now, I'm a bit of a history buff.
Mm-hmm.
There was this first Rhode Island regiment who, back during the Revolutionary War, this was an all-black regiment. Some say they tipped the Revolutionary War for the Americans.
Well, first of all, I'm thankful for that. But two, that's a great bit of history about a state that I don't get to be in very often. I go there probably every 2 or 3 years because they have the most amazing Coney Island dogs. Their hot dogs are crazy good. Their clams are crazy good. So I go up there for food. But, Newport is where the American Cup is done, through New York. So I don't get there very often. Believe it or not, I was born in Rhode Island, but 2 months later I was in France. My dad's first mission, his first duty assignment in the Army was to go to Paris, France. And so I didn't come back to the United States until I was 5. And then I didn't come back again to the United States until I was about 12. So I spent most of my life outside the United States.
Well, all I can tell you is that I spent the first 8 years of my life living in East Baltimore.
Did you?
And I've been essentially in West Baltimore ever since. And no, it's not another country, but considering how some people don't leave their neighborhood, to some people, East and West Baltimore are foreign countries. You've been in, and that's a great segue, you've been in 100 countries, and your dad, so you were a military, as they say, military brat.
Yes.
And your dad was in the Army. My dad was in the Army. Which, was he in any particular war?
He was in Vietnam War. No serious actions. He was a Signal Corps officer in Vietnam. I think Signal Corps was the way to go if you're going to Vietnam. It was a little behind the scenes a little bit.
It's about survival. I remember playing dodgeball at the YMCA. Couldn't have been any more than 7 years old. And I could hear Dad on the sideline, get in the back, get in the back.
And your dad, where did he serve?
Korea. Yeah,
Okay.
he would be about 92 this year.
Yeah, I guess his lifestyle. My dad's still alive. He's 85 years old. He's doing all right. It's funny that people that have been in really, really big conflicts, how it sometimes makes your body more resilient. I mean, you see some of these veterans that are like 100 years old or 90. I'm thinking, wow, that was hard on their bodies, yet they made it all this time.
I think of the food they.
That's what I'm talking about too. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So
I was going to say that I did not count any of those countries. I went to 104 countries. I did not count any country I was in as a kid, because your view of a country as a kid is totally different. But I'll tell you one thing about my son, who's 11. He does not understand how good he has it. And I will tell you, even though I didn't see the worst of circumstances when I traveled to see 100 countries, I promise you I saw at least 30 countries that were impoverished, and that there's a lot to be grateful for just for clean water. I mean, that is an amazing thing to just say, I have clean water. I don't have to spend my day going to get it.
Man, I went to Ethiopia, and I've since heard stories of people whose grandparents walk 10 miles a day.
Right.
Either for school or for water.
Right.
So this one grandparent walked their grandson or granddaughter, whomever it was I was talking to, walked them to school, they came back home, and then walked back to get them. That's 40 miles.
Oh, I know. And
people aren't even walking downstairs these days.
True. That's why I want my son to see this. I think travel and being in other countries starts teaching about humanity. I think it's a very important. I think to end discrimination, have someone travel. When you're odd man out and people love you just for who you are, you start saying, wow, I'm adopting that.
What else are you grateful for? We got clean water. What else?
I'm grateful I have a son. I'm grateful that
No. I mean, the amenities.
Oh, the amenities
of life that many of us take for granted.
Yeah, it's just the fact that a grocery store is stocked. I mean, there's some countries, there is either not very many groceries, not very many picks, or you never know when the supplies are coming in. So just having anything you can buy, almost anything you want to buy, unless there's a storm in the DMV, you can buy almost anything on the shelf. And
how about electricity?
Yeah. And well, how about internet? I mean, we are speaking through the internet. Imagine how hard that would be in most countries. In most countries, it's funny, they have phones, but they don't have computers or they don't have internet. So internet's a blessing for this area. You can go in parts of the United States that the internet's tough. So I'm just happy we have great phone service and so we can communicate. I think it's a very powerful area. And Baltimore, I was going to tell you, is my 15th move. When I moved to Baltimore, my dad, he worked at NSA, Fort Meade, Maryland. And I went to Fort Meade High School. That was my final year of high school. I moved my senior year, and I got the bug. I wanted to stay here. I saw so much opportunity, so much of a melting pot. I just thought it was a beautiful area. So I love DC, Maryland, Baltimore area. Love it.
What about a toilet?
Toilets are good things. You know that? So is toilet paper, by the way. You know, there's some countries you don't bring your toilet paper with you. You're going to have a little bit of a surprise. Yes. Yes, indeed, Donnie. The bathrooms are a luxury in our country.
I was in Tanzania, and I said I had to go to the restroom, to the bathroom, and they pointed. And I'm in there looking for a toilet, looking for a commode.
Yep.
And it was a hole in the ground.
Yep, Boy Scout style.
With flies hovering.
How about India? I mean, India, they go to a little out and it goes into the water. They swim in. It's really not exactly appealing.
Right in the river.
Yeah. 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 If you watch any Indian movies that show the impoverished areas, that's how they do their business. And you would get very sick if you're not used to that water.
You dang on right.
Yeah. And that's another thing, you go into countries, you can't even drink their water. They can drink it because they've got enough bacteria. They have enough, what is it called? They're somewhat immune to all the infections we would get just by going there. So something to be careful with is always drink out of a bottled water. And also make sure you're buying bottled water from a place that is trusted, because believe me, they cap the water with just regular water too. And if you drink sink water, you're probably going to be in the bathroom a lot.
Africa, that's where they've had a whole bunch of needles and the question of malaria, and then sleeping in a mosquito net.
Right.
Real talk. That mosquito net is serious business in some places.
It is very serious business. Your life is never going to be the same. It's just like going into an area of woods that you're not checking yourself, and you have a little tick that has Lyme disease. You're going to have a different life after that. Totally different life. And what are you grateful for, Donnie?
To be alive.
Yeah.
A young man said to me once, and I'm 59. He was somewhere in my ballpark. He said, I woke up, I'm winning. I'm grateful for a roof over my head, for electricity, for running water. I like to start with the basics. I can see, I can touch, I can move, I can walk, I can bend, I can breathe.
Talk.
Taste, talk, hear. Let's just start with the fundamentals.
So you're turning 60 on June 27th.
Yeah, I've been asked if I'm going to have, a get together.
Well, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to tell. You are going to do a 60th birthday, and you're going to launch your book called My First 60 Years, or whatever you're going to title it. Because I launched my book, My First 60 Years, and I'm going to tell you that was my first time I ever did my memoirs. That was the first time I ever did all my gratitude and all my things I've learned.
Now, I've already got 3 out.
I didn't know how many, but I figured, but I really would love for you to have an anthology that builds it all together.
Well, I tell you, I have a master's. This is my final semester on my master's.
Really?
At Morgan State, final semester.
Congratulations.
So May, June, and I gotta tell you, I'll share these words that I strive to live by from my dad. He said, with a closed hand, nothing gets in and nothing gets out. You got people who want a friend but won't be a friend. You got people who want love but won't give love. You have people who want respect but won't give respect. But he said, with an open hand, there are endless possibilities.
Amen. My mom said, always look for the good in people and you'll find it. And I got to tell you, that shifted my life quite a bit. And then I don't know who told me this, but I love this saying too. Oh no, it was my principal, Kevin Sawyer, who I taught in PG County for 4 years. I taught introductory physics and chemistry. And he said, everyone's doing their best. I love that, because sometimes we fault people because we say that's not enough, but that might be their best now. It doesn't mean it's their best tomorrow. It doesn't mean it's the best when they learn something new, but most people are doing their best. And I was in the wedding business for a long time, and You hear a budget for a wedding that's way low. You hear a budget for a wedding that's medium. You hear a budget for high, and they're all relative to how much they can actually afford for the wedding. And so what Mr. Sawyer was saying was, when a kid is in your class, that parent is giving you their best. That is their best child. That is the best that child has at this point. And when I adopted that and took it into business and everything, it really changed how I looked at my opportunity to serve, and also just really understand people, have empathy, sympathy, and then go beyond and do something about it.
I think our president needs an advisor like you.
Well, I would be happy if you'd listen. That's for sure. You know, part of it is the listening part. A big part of it's the listening part.
I took a class on critical listening. I realized how much I don't listen. So that's why I'm big on taking notes.
Where did you take that class?
At Coppin.
Did you? That is a class that almost should be mandatory for anyone that is going into business. I think Israel has it kind of correct when they put all their men in the military for 2 years. I think that's a doggone good way to teach discipline, respect, and also loving your country.
I worked for a guy from the Eastern Shore. He had a different philosophy. He said everybody should have to do 2 years in the restaurant business. He was a restaurateur. And he believed Harrison's. You may have been to Tillman Island.
Okay, I haven't been there. No.
Well, their restaurant is not there anymore, but the Harrisons, and he's still around. He's up in I think Towson, Chuck Harrison. He said he just spoke about what we learned, and I think, to steal your word, humanity. What we learned. I learned in the restaurant business that you can run over there because this white guy has a 3-piece suit on, and pay him more attention, and he'll mess around and stiff you on a check. But this old black guy with these tight tennis shorts on, who you didn't see pull up on the yacht, might tip you $100. And the lesson is, don't judge.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're talking about two separate parts. I was thinking you were talking about working, preparing the food, etc. So
I was a waiter.
Yeah. So I was a waiter. I lasted almost a day and a half at Red Lobster, and I knew this was not my calling. So I did better.
Why?
I messed up so bad. I was just a horrible waiter.
You're gonna mess up.
I got tipped so much because they felt sorry for me. I felt guilty.
In one day?
I did. I messed up so many times, Donnie. I worked at Burger King, Roy Rogers. About 3 or 4 of and people ask me, why are you working these places? I said, I'm trying to make sure that I know what it's going to be like, that I do not want to work here, or I do want to work here when I'm older. So I found out fast food is not for me, but I did it for a year. I did a year of fast food. I did 1.5 days at Red Lobster, and the manager even agreed with me. He says, this is not your calling.
In a day?
I was that bad. I was really bad. I can tell you that I was nervous. I was so bad.
You're supposed to be. You're a kid. Man, I worked at McDonald's in Georgia, going to Morehouse. Yeah. And I stayed there all of 4 days. But I wanted to flip the damn fries. They had me cleaning the commode.
I never worked at McDonald's, but those fries, I would have been making sure I got some of them.
Man, you got to be special to flip the fries.
Yeah, that's funny.
They're not going to let anybody flip the fries. You have to earn that.
Well, that's something I now know from your show. That is too funny, Donnie. I did not know that. That's a prestigious aspect of McDonald's. Well, I will say this.
Just don't go into McDonald's and get to flip the fries. No, you've got to clean some bathrooms, pal.
Yes.
Lady.
Speaking of which, there's fast food restaurants. This is just a little trivia, since you gave me a little trivia about Rhode Island, that the ice cubes that they put in those machines for the fountain drinks can sometimes be dirtier than the toilet water. That's a fact. You can Google that. You got to be careful about those ice cubes, where they've been in the fast food chains. Sorry about
Did
that.
you know that fast food never dies?
Just the
Even
people.
in the worst recessions,
Oh yeah, neither does alcohol. Neither does marriage.
probably goes up.
Yeah, and same with marriages. Weddings are recession proof, just like alcohol and fast food places.
Weddings, not marriages.
Well, weddings cause marriages, so I was putting that together. Yes. Well, no, marriages stay together. There's less divorces
During recessions.
during recessions and pandemics. Yes. You learn to work it out, and you also learn to appreciate. I mean, if people have financial problems and it's a recession, that means they have to think and be a team better. So, yes, there's going to be divorces, but it's also going to be a lot more people saying, we got to make this work.
I'm not going to let you off with 104 countries. What's your favorite place to visit? Have you ever been to Santorini?
I have. Isn't it gorgeous?
I've seen the pictures, the blue,
Yeah,
and the white.
for real. But
sun.
Mykonos is, I think, prettier, but Santorini is, I think, the better tourist area. But Mykonos is all white and blue. It doesn't make sense. It's like God came down there and said, you get two colors to work with. They're both going to be very bright today and every day you're here. But my favorite country, Doni, is a country that speaks to what you were talking about with the power of a smile or the power of really understanding gratitude. So Cambodia, I went to Cambodia to Siem Reap, and I just couldn't believe when I got there, every single person I encountered, just so hospitable. I thought they were doing it for tips. I mean, I thought they needed money that bad. When I'd offer a tip, they said, no, I'm fine. They do it to live their life in this current life, to have a better life in their afterlife is what they believe. And what makes it so remarkable to me is most of the families that we went to see in the villages, they have upwards of 10 kids in these stilt houses. And I found out that for the most part, most families, they lose half their kids to dysentery. So to have that type of spiritual and just beautiful being, it made me really appreciate that country a lot. What country would you like to go to?
I want one day in Egypt.
That's
see the pyramids.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's an interesting country. That country, over half the houses are under construction because their government allows major tax breaks if your house is under construction. So they stay under construction long time.
I saw that in Ethiopia, and I saw a different kind of construction than we are used to.
Yeah,
we're used to steel scaffolding. They had bamboo scaffolding way up there.
Really?
Yes, bamboo scaffolding.
Well, I saw that in Cambodia, so I have seen it before. It is very interesting. Well, that was more wood than bamboo. That was wooden stilts, but yeah. But it was thin. It was really thin, like branches of trees being put together to hold up a house. Really insane.
Definitely Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil is a beautiful, big country. Do you speak Portuguese or know any Portuguese?
No Portuguese.
Okay.
And I tell you, I hear the similarities between Portuguese and Spanish.
Right.
But just, there are 40 million black people in the U.S. There are 100 million there. In Brazil, the Portuguese and the Spanish, and what's that guy? He discovered everything, Christopher Columbus. There's so much about the world that we don't know, especially as Americans. Do you understand why we're considered during our travels the ugly American?
Of course I do. And there is definitely some truth to that. But it doesn't take much to not be the ugly American. If you go to a country and you have, you respect just certain things, like this is their house, this is their country. Just try to learn something about their language. Try and learn something about their culture. You'll be welcomed in a big way, and smile. But I'll tell you something, not to dissuade you from going to Brazil, but Brazil is a country you need to be careful in.
It's the AIDS capital.
It is yes. And I was attacked in Santiago, Chile for my cameras.
Damn right.
And I was told, if you got your cameras out in Brazil, the difference is in Santiago, Chile, they'll steal them from you and beat you down. But
in Brazil, they'll take your life.
They'll take your life too. And there was no police officer that's going to help you. That is not going to happen.
Should have known better.
Well, I did. When I went to Brazil.
No. That's their mentality.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a very corrupt country. So you just have to be very careful. If you don't travel with eye watches, you don't travel with jewelry, you don't travel.
Because we don't understand poor.
No. And they don't understand actually humanity, right? Like being nice to someone. That is very foreign. Now that's not the tourist area, but that is the element that's going to victimize people that don't know better. Because it's considered to them showing off, and it's also considered that we got a replacement. We got more of all that stuff, so they're just taking it for the day.
You think that is the result of the merging of indigenous peoples, formerly enslaved peoples, and the Portuguese? You think that's what happens it's from what I gather, it's like the Wild West.
I would point it all to corrupt leadership. I mean, if you have a leader that's not corrupt, and he's going to have civility and he's going to have laws that you break, you're going to pay a penalty or you're going to have a consequence, then I think the country would be different. But unfortunately, there's a lot of countries down in South America that don't have uncorrupt leadership. It's sad.
Well, not just there. I mean, that's a part of the global South.
It is.
South America, Africa, Asia, Southern Asia.
But I was a lot safer in Africa. I carried my stuff around. I'm not saying it was.
Did you go to Lagos?
I did, yeah. And I went to Madagascar. I went to South Africa. You got to be a little careful, that's for sure. But that's a tourist area. I think where the tourism is higher, you have some. I mean, if you go to Italy, they tell you when you go in Italy, make sure you put your wallets in your front pocket or somewhere, because the pickpockets there are just notorious. They'll bump into you and it's gone.
What about New Orleans?
Well, I love New Orleans, but I have not been in a situation where I would say, I know there's bad areas in New Orleans, but I love New Orleans.
I mean, it's a high tourist area.
It is.
I've met a lot of pimps in New Orleans.
Are you going to New Orleans for Super Bowl?
No. I have to keep football in its place. Yeah. And then the prices are super high. I mean, New Orleans. Tell me about airlines. What do you recommend in terms of travel?
I think by far Southwest is the choice and only choice, because on an app you can switch your flight. You can cancel it an hour before. I mean, it's crazy. If you have a crazy life and you're on contract to do this and that, and the contract changes, you can make changes very easy on Southwest. So I do I think it's about 50 flights a year through Southwest. And I have my contract. I only work with Southwest, because other airlines, they're late, or they lose your baggage, or they penalize you for having bags. I mean, I just love that I don't have to think anything. I just bring 4 bags to the counter, and they say, I guess 2 are being checked in. I go, yes, they are. I love Southwest. You know what? Hey, Donnie, if you have any pool, have Southwest sponsor the Keep Smiling movement. I would love to not have to pay for 50 flights a year. I just want to fly to all these cities.
I did, and they moved to a different company. Moved to, I better not say the name, but my God, I used to get tickets every year.
Really?
Yeah. Then the lady moved to another company.
Well, offline, let's see if we can make it happen.
Now, what about Spirit or Frontier?
Are you trying to make this a negative?
You see that look on your face? That's pricey. That's not the look for Dr. Smiley. Did you see that look on your face? You're even turning. Your cheeks are getting red.
Yeah, that was a really. I wasn't ready for that question, Donnie. I don't want to say anything negative on your show, but let's just say I only had to go on Spirit once, and I heard Frontier was better, and so I didn't need to try 2 similar airlines.
Man, if your stuff doesn't fit into a paper bag, they have this little measuring thing up there. And you're like, hold up, how am I going to get my knapsack in this little space, because if it's bigger than that, you're talking about 75, 150 bucks. Oh my God. I was on one time.
It only takes one. You know, it's funny that they have that name, Spirit. Like it should be called Bad Spirit. Like they should. Spirit has kind of a connotation. It's going to be a good feel. You know, I was yelled at by the person collecting the tickets. He said, "You're supposed to cut this ticket and you're supposed to fold it." And I said, "I didn't know that." And so he yelled at me. No, it was a woman. She yelled at me. I said, "This will be the last time I use your airlines." And she didn't care. She didn't care at all.
Demon Airline.
Demon Airline. Yes, it is not a good customer service relation company. I wonder how they stay in business, but it's price. It's price. And by the way, I guess if I was in a pinch and I need to fly from one spot to another and I just had a little suitcase, then I'd probably do Spirit if I was in a pinch. But apparently that's the only way to do it. You
can wear it. Don't even take a paper bag. I mean, whoa, man, that was
brutal.
So, how is fatherhood?
I think it's the best gift you can give yourself if you're a man. I don't know if it's the best gift you can give yourself as a woman, but as a man, raising a child, especially, I'm lucky that I have a son. I just love hanging with him. I love teaching him science. Love teaching him just to be a future leader. I think that's the best thing you can do. He plays the piano. He's in basketball, soccer, and he's written 14 books. And by the way, anyone listening to your show, if they connect with you or me, I'm happy to send them digital copies of my son's books. I think every kid should try and knock that book out. And by the way, congratulations on 3 books. I didn't know you had 3.
So we need to give him, if it's all right with you, we just started the Black Wall Street Youth Awards.
Oh, really?
This will be our second full-fledged. It's not like we've never honored 17 and under before, but this year we're being intentional about it. There's no need to keep celebrating these old farts. I want to see what the next generation, and I tell you, Ken, I've had some people in my ear saying, for instance, that, I mean, because you're a great teacher when it comes to social media, but this one guy in North Carolina, Dr. Eric Kelly, said that if you're not targeting, if your body of work isn't reflective of 14 to 19-year-olds, then he said, Donnie, you're missing it.
I agree with him. And I got a person who told me the best way to enjoy fatherhood or parenthood, period, is find out what your kids love to do and do it with them. And so many parents miss that opportunity. They say, oh, they're gaming or they're doing something I really don't like. Well, if you don't like their music, you're distancing yourself on who you can be for them. So my son's 14th book is called Conversations, because it's 50 questions. He came up with 50 questions. I came up with, and we interviewed each other over a month's time. We recorded all the answers, transcribed them, and turned them in. Well, I love that Kenny came up with the 13th book, the book that preceded it, called Conversations. And Conversations is having conversations with the ones you love. And my theory that I think he's going to prove correct is that the more you learn and understand your kids, the less problems you're going to have with them.
Did you get any spankings growing up?
Heck yeah, I did. Lots. I was a really bad kid. My brother and sister were angels. I don't think they ever got hit once. And I got a lot of them. But you know what, Donnie? I'm raising my son the best I can, just like my dad raised me the best he could. He was not a bad person. He just did not know how to deal with
he tore that ass up.
Yeah, undiagnosed probably, ADHD, rebellious entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur in the making. I mean, my son is like me, but I don't know if I caused that or if he's like that and I just understand it completely. But if you have a kid that's a dreamer, I'm telling you, you can shoot their dreams down real quick by trying to conform them into.
I'm going to hit you with the question. You see it coming. You see it coming just like a linebacker.
Yeah.
Have you had to put your hands on?
Never have. Never been tempted. I'm being honest with you, Donnie. I'm being honest. Now, I'm not saying he's been beautiful and perfect, but I have so much rapport with him, Donnie, that when I talk to him, he drops. Like, I'm telling you, he can get in a really bad mood. He can get pouty, just like any other kid. And my wife will say, let him be. And I said, no, I'm going in to talk to him now. And I go in and talk to him, and he just drops. And I say, what's up, Kenny? And he tells me, he just starts talking to me. And he will not talk to probably anybody else. But I have really understood that he's like me. I don't want, when I'm mad, for no one to talk to me. I actually want someone to care about me.
So how long you been married?
15 long years.
Come on, man. We gotta get you out there. You just put yourself in the doghouse now. 15 beautiful years.
15
like
beautiful.
To the Dr.
15,
Smiley.
15 glorious years. No, that's actually a great point too. Mary, when you're married, you really need to find someone that understands dreaming too. She's a phenomenal mother, phenomenal person for cooking, house. I mean, she supports me the best she can, but entrepreneur life is hard on her. I'll be honest with you. It's hard on her.
Damn right. Plus you meet people from all over, including beautiful women, and not all women can handle that.
That's true. Well, you're either committed or you're not. And so,
and let me tell you something else. In the work we do at photography, I mean, photography is a world of art all by itself.
It is.
Women like to pose for the camera, men like to take pictures. Yeah. And now it's changed. You got a lot more women photographers.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, now my dad was a funeral director, but damn if he wasn't always taking pictures.
Really? Well, I think you've noticed that when I come to events, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I go to a lot of events and I don't stay any longer than I need to because I like being home with my family. So I typically go early to an event and I typically leave early from an event. And there are 3 reasons for that. One is I really do love being at home. I love being with my family. That's one. Number 2 is if I'm doing it as in-kind service, I'm only adding more work to my post-production by just taking pictures and pictures and pictures. So you can leave.
You've done that.
Yeah, done that. I did that a long time. And I said, man, this is not just laborious. It's almost enslaving your life from doing other things. So I pretty much have a rule that I'll stay about 90 minutes, tops 2 hours, because I'm looking to meet and get the story. And just like you're media. So media cares about the story. Photographers don't necessarily care about the story. They care about capturing the experience. So I'm there to capture a story. And that story, and there's not a lot of people that get to say they're a member of the National Press Club, but if you're a photographer, and it's because they're not looking for photographers. They're looking for media people. They're looking for people that have distribution and understand story.
Ken, you took a picture of me when I first started. I studied that picture to attempt to begin to understand what you saw. Describe taking what is in your estimation the perfect shot. Because we can't see what other people see.
Right.
Of us.
So that is not only a great question, it's a very deep one. And I'll just say that God told me to buy some cameras when my mom passed. I was a DJ for 40 years. I was not a camera person. I love art. I got 2 art scholarships to go to college. But when God told me to buy some cameras, it wasn't cheap. I bought some really nice cameras because I was being accused with my little Canon Sure Shot that I was winning awards with when I'd travel, that I was using professional equipment. It certainly wasn't. It was a $325 camera from Costco. So when God told me to buy the big cameras, I did. And all of a sudden, I volunteered to go to 333 events my first year. I was trying to get to 365. It was 333 I went to. And that required me to go for only an hour or 2 per event, because otherwise I'd never get to go to that many events. And what I learned very quickly is that when I'd see someone like you, I would look for people that had so much spirit. They had so much beautiful energy. And I would be like a sniper to some degree. And I'd look for that shot where I see them alive. And so my finger, and I got known for taking one shot because I would wait and I'd get this just amazing shot. And by the way, Donnie, I don't take credit for my photography. I really do give credit to God. I got the camera. I get these amazing shots. I take the shot with one finger and I look at it and I go, how'd that just happen? Now I understand light. I understand composition, but the connection I have with that camera and the subject, I just can't even explain it. So your question is fantastic, but it is to me more divine. I don't even think it's lucky. I think it's divine.
Can an atheist do the same thing?
Can what? Can atheists do the same thing? I don't think so. I think an atheist is not going to see the beauty of a human and the spirit of a human. And by the way, I don't know if we have the ability to share photos, or if you go on break and I can bring back pictures, but I have 10 books I've taken pictures of, and they're called The Art of Black and White, or The Art of Ebony, or The Art of Travel, or The Art of Life, or The Art of Spirits, The Art of Mask. I have all these different books because I don't want my photos to ever die, so I put them in.
We'll have to do a show. Have you ever used StreamYard before?
I have. Yes, I have.
Well, I got to tell you a quick story. Peggy Morris introduced me to StreamYard.
She was at the funeral.
I know. I'm pretty sure she was.
Yeah, she spoke, I think.
Yeah. You know, my father was a funeral director. That's why I'm going to give you your flowers now. Because when you're in that ground, it's all over.
Right.
If I never go to another funeral in life, it's all right with me.
Same here. Yeah. I avoid them. But there's some people you just can't not celebrate.
You know, a lot of people can. How many phone numbers do you have in your phone?
Almost 40,000.
40,000. Damn. I knew a guy with 16,000. I've got about 10,000. 40,000.
40,000. You ready?
Yeah. Good God Almighty.
It's a lot. It's so much that I got a second phone.
Do you have a coding system like 25 for the year?
Oh, I do. I mean, there's a reason I know your birthday. By the way, if I was to look up birthday BD 6.27, these are all your brothers and sisters that have the same birthday as you.
Wow. So do you study the signs? The zodiacs?
I don't, but since I'm a Leo, I understand Leos more, but I probably, since I see Leos have the same characteristics, I should say the signs, shouldn't I?
I'm going to teach you something, and anybody watching the show right now, every other sign is the same tribe. It's two tribes.
Okay.
Every other sign is the same tribe. Your best friend, I can bet you, is a Gemini and a Libra.
And Libra is October? So my 4 best friends are October. So yes, you're right.
Late September, October.
And by the way, 4 of them were born on the same day.
Yeah, those are side by side, Cancer, Leo. We were in the womb at the same time. So we have a lot of similarities.
That's very interesting. So October 4th, 4 people. My wife, the person who does all my books, 700 books, Carolyn, Ed, who's my right-hand person in the company. And I just have a lot of people. And then my partner, Dr. Michelle Mirage, she's October 17th. So a lot of Octobers. You're right about that.
What happens as and this time has just gone by. I knew it was going to go by fast. What is the significance, brother, of a decent headshot? How in the world in 2025 can a person have a headshot that looks like the bottom of a Mack truck that just went through a tsunami?
That is something, isn't it?
How?
I think it's them.
Is it I don't care?
I think it's ignorance. I don't think it's I don't care. So ignorance is someone never told them how important it is. I mean, if I take a card like this and it's presentable, you may take it from me. But if it's all messed up and written on, you might say, doesn't he know better? because it's actually saying I don't care, but it's the ignorance of saying I don't care. So I'm very particular about making sure someone looks good for their headshot. It's very important. And by the way, you know as well as I do, you can click on a profile because the headshot's that strong, and then afterwards go, there's nothing else. Like that headshot was that strong to attract you in. It's just like a book cover. A book cover is so important that you have the right book cover. Otherwise, it's not going to get picked up. So, and by the way, I want to see you. I want to meet with you soon. I want to read your 3 books before our show together, or my show. And
I'm not going to promise people I'm going to read that book. That's, and then you talk about time. That's an energy thief. I had a gangster come on this show.
Yeah.
And I give my word, I give my word. And this was a young gangster. And you know, them young gangsters, this is the DMV. You said 2. But the old gangster, the book is 3 times as big. And I got to read this damn thing before I bring them on. It's like, I don't want to read all of that. But going through grad school, you certainly learn how to get the points out.
Yeah, I think the way to read a book, if you really want to get a gold gem from it, and you don't want to be stopped by not reading the book, I think you just need to read the first chapter, last chapter, and I think you need to look at the table of contents to find which chapter, and that way you get a sense of what they were trying. Because the first chapter really is going to, if they've thought about how they're writing the book, that is the monster chapter for inspiration and getting you engaged in the book. But Audible is the way to go. I read those little couple chapters and I buy the Audible, and it's a lazy way to get through a book, but it's fun. What's your favorite author? What's your favorite author? What's your favorite book or author?
I would say my first favorite book would be the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Okay.
I read it as a 15-year-old in about 3 days. And I would say the Bible, the Quran, never really read the Bhagavad Gita, some of the Bhagavad Gita, but I was going right to it. Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life.
That's an important book.
Khalil Gibran.
I haven't read that.
I want you to look up Khalil Gibran, his poem on your children.
Is he the prayer?
Your children are not your children.
He's the prophet, right?
The prophet.
Yes. I need to check that book out. Og Mandino, have you done that one?
The greatest salesman in the world. I was just telling you about it over the weekend. The greatest salesman in the world enters the marketplace with love in their heart. Everything is not about money.
Yep. I don't know if you ever have any connection to Malcolm Gladwell, but I will owe you so big if you ever figure out how I could meet him. Man, he's one of my favorite people in the world.
6 Degrees of Separation. Malcolm Gladwell.
Tipping Point, Outliers. I've read all 7 of his books, bought them all on Audible. I mean, he's brilliant.
Malcolm Gladwell. Where is he?
Malcolm Gladwell is in New York.
Now, I will tell you, that's my favorite city.
I'm going there tomorrow for the United Nations, for the Ambassadors of Peace.
Our first event in New York was at the United Nations with Peggy at my side.
Really? When's your next big event?
February 22nd. That's where we'd like to give your son, if you're in the country, in town, a Black Wall Street Youth Award. It is so important to get our young people to understand working for themselves. You know, one thing I get from Asians, and not at all trying to make a blanket statement, but when I look at the work ethic of Asians, when I look at the work ethic of Latinos, especially Latinos in America, there's a house across the street. Latinos are fixing it. The women work as hard as the men, if not harder.
I have another
driving
culture.
a truck, picking up boulders, man.
Yep. Indian and Nigerian. Work ethic in the family. Huge. High emphasis to work hard, work smart, be entrepreneurial.
Now you said Gladwell, like glad, happy.
Yep, GLADWELL. And you'll thank me for this. I mean, I will tell you this. The book Tipping Point and Outliers are probably two of my favorite books. I have a pretty substantial library, but I run my business off those two principles.
You never met him?
Never met him. I've certainly watched him, seen him. I've never seen him at an event, but I've seen him on YouTube, or he's done lots of TED Talks too.
Okay.
But let me say something to you, Donnie. I'm not interested in going to an event where I see him live. I'm interested in where I get to shake his hand.
I'm gonna have him call you, man.
That's awesome. Well, Donnie, you tell me what I can do for you.
Just be my friend.
Well, that's too easy. We have been friends a long time.
You're Pisces, aren't you?
I'm Leo.
Leo, that's right. There's something about Pisces. Somebody we met.
But you're right though. You're June. I'm August.
Yeah. We've come a long way. And it's been damn near 20 years.
I would say that's right. Yeah.
You came to North and Utah to get a picture. I'm like, who's this white guy crazy enough to come to West Baltimore? And come to find out you've seen a lot more than West Baltimore. What was the toughest? Well, you said Brazil, and when you said Brazil, you're talking about Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro?
Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro. Lagos is no chump.
No, not at all.
And there are places in Paris, I understand, you can get got.
I think every big city you can get got. I will tell you a story about Baltimore though that I share because it's a miracle day. It's a day that God was looking down. I was delivering food during Thanksgiving to impoverished areas of Baltimore, and I got out of my car and I had all these bags. All of a sudden, I had about 5 men come around me, and there's always a leader, right? And he looked at me and he says, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm delivering food to people that are in need. It's Thanksgiving." And he looked at his guys and he goes like that, and they just left. Very, very somber.
I'm going to take two guesses. I'm going to say East Baltimore, and I'm going to say Park Heights.
That's probably pretty fair. It was in that vicinity. That's for sure. But I'll tell you, it was my son I had to think about at that moment. Like, it may not be people that are going to say you have rite of passage right now, and then I have a different life. You hear too much on the news of somebody that picked the wrong time to go to a convenience store. So
you got angels though, Ken.
I do have angels. There's no doubt about it. I have lots of angels. I cannot believe how fortunate I am. And I care for life that much. I care for life so much that I want every day to make a difference for somebody.
There's a Christian song that said, all day and all night, the angels are watching over me. There's a lot of history here in Maryland.
There is. Maryland has a lot to be proud of, specifically Baltimore. Baltimore has a lot to be proud of. Very innovative city. And a good, I would have loved it, Donnie, if our Ravens could have gone to the Super Bowl with the Commanders. That would have been something.
You cannot drop the ball.
No, you can't.
You cannot fumble. You cannot throw an interception if you're playing Patrick Mahomes.
No, I know, and it's interesting, but there are teams that don't need to perform like Patrick Mahomes during the regular season, but they perform like.
And you got to be able to handle the big game.
Yes, the big game is all it is. Yeah, it's so funny. We've had 2 seasons where we just play brilliantly, and then we say, let's just go ahead and throw it away now. I mean, last year, come on, did they even come to the game?
You used the word early in this interview, humility.
Yes.
You can't be humble through the regular season and then get to the big game and lose your humility. You got to be even more humble, more grateful, more prayed up. Because that ego is a dangerous thing. You have the camera.
Yeah, it's, you're choosing yourself over God when you choose ego. If you choose God, there is no ego.
because we know we can be here and gone.
Yep.
In a blink of an eye.
That's right. Yeah, ego is a dangerous thing. Leave it at the door.
Edging God out.
Edging God out. That's why I said that. Good job. That's probably the most important message in this show. Is you are on borrowed time. How are you going to use it? How are you going to have the day you're gone that everyone says, man, what a life. I miss that dude.
We all leaving. My daddy was Undertaker. I got a joke for you. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Nobody gets out alive.
No one gets out alive. I got another joke for you. Stephen Wright says, my number one goal in life is to live forever. So far, so good.
My daddy said, live forever, but die you must.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the sayings I've heard a couple of times. It was at the funeral of Dr. Renee. It was, everyone dies, but not everyone lives.
She had an infectious smile.
Yes, she did. One of the best in the world. No doubt about it.
She had no problem taking the lead. Where was she from originally?
She served in the military, so I know that she could have been a brat just like me, but I don't know where I was trying to think. Let's see if I can find out.
She certainly touched a lot of people.
She did.
The last time I saw her was out at the grand opening of the Carolina Kitchen, owned by Lance London. I'm sure you met. If you have an eye for people, how could you not know a Lance London? He's our keynote on the 22nd.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
He's an amazing guy.
Yes, he is.
He was very close with Dr. Renee. That's for sure. There she is right there.
You know, when she went home, there were people just started sharing that picture. And I got to tell you, I saw enough.
Yeah.
It was everywhere I was looking, like people got their Renee picture. I get it. We all are going to leave here one day, and hopefully we've passed on something good. Yeah,
this is a wake up. Like, the people you care about, when's the last time you got a picture with them? When's the last time you had a conversation with them? When's the last time you said they matter? I mean, I'm telling you, had I known she was passing, I would have spent a heck of a lot more time with her after December. She passed on Martin Luther King Day. And she didn't tell anybody that she was in that much pain. Well, she told a very small circle. And I just wish I was part of that circle, because I would have loved to have taken some days off just to be with her. She's a good person, super good person, very powerful. I've just never seen anybody, like, the people that stood up said, she made me. Like, she was the door opener. She was the connector. She made opportunities happen left and right.
She has a son?
Yes, Chase. And he did a book. He has a book. And he was handed the flag, the American flag, at the end of the funeral. Very touching moment.
That's a shot. Have you ever captured the presenting of the flag to the family?
Yeah, that's a big moment. That's a very big moment. And I don't think there was very many dry eyes in that funeral. 500 people at that moment when they were folding the flag. That was a really sentimental, emotional time.
All right, Ken, I'm going to give you the screen, and this is your time to shine. All of the stuff you were thinking to say that you didn't say, all the stuff you were planning to say, all of the questions I didn't ask. Your philosophy on everything from Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to Assalamu Alaikum to Niha, Shay Shay, and a whole kit and caboodle. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now, the only thing is, when you're said and done, you gotta look right into the camera and say, good morning, world. And that'll be it.
You got it.
Thank you so much for joining us. May the Almighty continue to bless you and empower you to share your gift. We get by giving. Thank you for sharing with me. I know I can be a trip sometimes, but I have two of my favorite pictures, and they are saved on my computer. Donnie Glover by Ken Rochon.
Wow.
And it is an honor to know a master. You are a master craftsman. You are serious about your work, and you're serious about uplifting humanity, all people.
Thank you, Don.
Don't forget, your son's name is?
He's Kenny. He's the third, named after my dad.
Okay, well, with his permission, we'd like to recognize him on 2/22.
I'm going to check my calendar right after the show, and I'm going to give you an affirmative.
Okay. God bless you, Big.
God bless you, Donnie. So this is my moment to say to you, you have one life, so make it count. If you haven't done a book, I'm here to help you, because telling your inspiring story is the most important thing you can do to anyone that you love. So share your story so that they know who you are. I lost my mom to Alzheimer's, and I knew she was a great mom, but I didn't know her story. So sharing your story with your loved one is a very important thing. And it also counts as sharing your story with business. In business, if you know who you're working with and you are inspired by the person you're working with, you will stay with them. And if you don't know them and you read their book and you're inspired by them, chances are very high that you'll want to do business with them. So there's not a downside to writing a book. And I will close with this. There are only two things you need to do in life. One is prove the people who believed in you they were right. And two, prove the people who didn't believe in you they were wrong. So good luck on this journey. I'm here for you. I'm here for Baltimore. I love the DMV. So anything I can do to help you share your inspiring story, be more abundant, and have a better journey. I'm Ken Rochon, Dr. Smiley. Good morning, world.